Good afternoon, everyone. This is Dan Bird with BreakpointTrading.net, bringing you the daily scan for Thursday, November 21st, 1 week before Thanksgiving. And next week's going to be very interesting. I'll talk about that in a second. First, I would like to make a comment about my Black Friday sale that's going on until December 3rd. You can click on the link on the main page, and just when you go to the registration, just click on the promo code area. It doesn't say promo code. I think it's something like coupon, and put in Rally, R-A-L-L-Y, and you'll get the $24 off annual subscription for $75 instead of $99. I will make a note here. Unfortunately, I thought that the website would allow me to add on to current subscriptions, so that if current subscribers wanted to take advantage of this, that it would just get added on and add another year onto their subscription. However, after hours of time on the phone with Wix is the company that I use to create the website, it turns out that it can't be done, at least not yet, unless they make some changes to their program. So I cannot add on to a current subscription, which doesn't make any sense to me because it happens all the time on other sites. So I don't know why they can't do it. But anyway, they're looking at it. They might make that change. But right now, I can only offer this to new subscribers. Stay tuned and I'll let you know if that changes. But right now, the Black Friday sale is only for new subscribers. Sorry about that. So let's go to the website, the homepage first, and you can click right on this link right here if you'd like to sign up. This is basically everything that I'm going to be showing you. All these links right here you'll have access to. The homepage, of course, is free. You can see today, market bias, we actually went up slightly, but it's just bouncing a little bit back and forth. However, a lot of the charts that I look at on the market bias are all turning up and getting ready, probably sometime next week, possibly, to start giving bullish signals again. So if we look at the market bias page right here, you'll see what I mean. So this is a short-term, the columns are short-term, medium-term, and long-term trends. And if it's green, it's in a bullish trend, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, and red, it's bearish. Only a few turn bullish today, but lots of them. I'll just start on the S&P right here. Most of these already are bullish. You can see that they're all starting to move up, starting to move higher. They're small caps. I'll talk about that in a minute as well. New York Stock Exchange. There's the Russell 2000. There's growth. There's value. Actually, value is doing better than growth, interestingly. Transportation is moving up. So everything kind of looks like this. They're all, utilities is going up. Everything is moving up. So these are the sectors. There's technology, there's communication services, discretionary, even staples starting to move higher, utilities, which has been doing well all year. Healthcare really took a beating, but is trying to make a comeback right now. And energy, which is doing really well. So everything right now is looking very bullish. So with that in mind, I want to take you over to Stock Traders Almanac. This is something that I have a subscription to, and if anyone's interested in market history, I highly recommend that you take a look at their site. They do some great work in going back 75 years to identify what the market has done. And this shows you where we are right now. So today, I turn on my cursor. Today we're right here, 21st, and look where that is. So all these dashed lines are the election years, which is this year. So right there, just follow the 21st up and you can see what's happening. So I noticed this today, the market started moving higher. It probably will continue going up tomorrow as well. And then next week is when the end of year rally really should get started. Here's another look at this with the Russell 2000. This is small and mid caps. Again, we are right about here, right on this low right there. So small caps potentially will rally, maybe pull back. This goes back to 1979 when the Russell was created. So might start a rally next week, pull back middle of December, and then end of December into the Santa Claus rally all the way into January and February. Usually small caps take off until April, usually. So keep that in mind. I'm going to show you small caps here in a minute as well. The other thing that Stock Traders Almanac posted is, this is kind of what I was talking about right here. Small caps Thanksgiving to the Santa Claus rally. So this is the history on this. Since 1950 for the S&P and 1979 for the Russell, you'll notice, and let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, there we go. So you'll notice this is the average gain. This is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. That is next Tuesday until the second day of the new year, which is when the Santa Claus rally ends. So S&P up 2.5, Russell up 3.3, median 2.4, Russell is 3.5. So the Russell outperforms. Small caps and mid caps outperform starting next week, right into the end of the year and into the first couple of days of the new year. And Santa Claus rally is something that Stock Traders Almanac came up with. This is an important point. It's often confused with a Q4 rally, but that's not what the Santa Claus rally is. Santa Claus rally is the last 5 trading days of the year and the first 2 trading days of the new year. That is officially what the definition of the Santa Claus rally is. So keep that in mind. But I think this is really interesting because next Tuesday is when this really gets going, and it might even have started today. So I've been talking about the end of year rally for a while and been waiting for it, and we might be heading into it. We'll see. No guarantees, of course, with the market. So just keep that in mind. And speaking of that, subscriber told me to put a little sticky on my monitor to remember to talk about the disclaimer. I actually have the sticky right on my monitor, just like he said, but I didn't look at it. So I am not a financial advisor. Anything that I talk about here is not advice. I'm not making recommendations on stocks to buy, when to buy them, how much to buy, or when to sell them. I'm doing this strictly for educational purposes. You need to do your own due diligence, understand your own risk profile, your trading style. If you do decide to engage with a financial advisor, I recommend that you go to this site right here and research the advisor, make sure that they are reputable. So just keep that in mind. I'm not making recommendations. Before we move on, let's just take a look real quick at the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ right there came out of that open gap, didn't quite close it, but got pretty close right here. And now it's actually back above the support level. So the NASDAQ, this is pretty much what everything looked like today. Everything was kind of down in the morning, and then it really started to make a comeback. I'll show you the 10-minute chart, and I think you'll really see it there. If we look also at the S&P, same thing. Now the S&P was sitting right on that support line, and it's starting to move higher again. It's at 59.48. And the high over here was 6,008, I think, something like that. So we might be heading back to the high, and this might be the start of the rally into the new year. Let's also take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin screamed higher today. The high was 99,056. Not quite 100, but it's getting there. And like I said, when it was going through this phase right here, I said that's consolidation. Usually consolidation theory means that whatever the move was from here to here will be an equal move from here to up here somewhere. So let's see if we can calculate that. It's 70,000 to about 90. So that's 20,000. So that would put it at about 110 is where the target is for this. So will we get through 100 tomorrow? Maybe we will. Who knows? So anyway, that's Bitcoin. It's looking pretty good. Let's take a look at a couple of stocks that some folks asked about. Let's go here. One was Palo Alto Networks. They reported yesterday after the close. There's today's candle, and they asked me why is Palo Alto down? Well, it was down because anytime there's earnings, there's lots of volatility, and market makers will move the stock based on demand. So if they see a lot of buyers, potential buyers, they'll push the stock down to take out stops down here so that they can restock their warehouse. Think of it that way. They're restocking their warehouse, taking out the stops so that because they know all the buy orders are sitting there waiting. So they want to go down and get some stock and then go up here and fill the buy orders. So that's what happened with Palo Alto. Palo Alto, it's looking pretty good. The other one was Snowflake. Look at that. Snowflake has been in just nothing but a downtrend all year. Huge volume today. They reported after the close yesterday as well. And look at that today, up 32% today. Huge move on Snowflake. Now, I wouldn't chase this at this point. Wouldn't be surprised if this pulls back some tomorrow. And we'll see if it comes down here to where it opened around the 150 level and then might start to go back higher. But big, huge open gap right there. So keep that in mind. Doesn't mean gaps have to fill, but you can see this gap got filled on the upside. There's a big gap up here that would need to be filled as well. So maybe this is going to go up and fill this gap. That'll take it up to 220 or 225. So that's another $50. So Snowflake did really well. And then, of course, the one we had all been waiting for, Nvidia. Nvidia was just ho-hum. Kind of boring day for Nvidia. This is not what their earnings usually looks like. Nvidia just sort of went down, went up, stayed in the middle, didn't do much at all today. I think I actually have some of the earnings. So here's what the news was on earnings, and this is after earnings after the close last night. Results blow past expectations. Booming demand for AI chips. Sees multi-trillion-dollar AI and robotics opportunities. Says on track to exceed Blackwell revenue estimates. Blackwell is their new chip. That's been backordered, actually. Scaling Blackwell supply amid staggering demand. That's what they said. NVIDIA spent $11 billion on stock buybacks. Revenue slips from previous quarter. So revenue actually beat expectations, but didn't go up as much as people might have expected. Everyone expects NVIDIA to have a blowout quarter. So when they just beat by a little bit, they think that's disappointing. Blackwell shipments to start in Q4. Tight supply. Data center revenue hits fresh high, topping estimates. We're going to take a look at these Magnificent Seven stocks. It's very interesting today also. Revenue outlook for Q4 slightly above expectations. The market wants big time above expectations. It's only slightly above. Beats analyst estimates on revenue and profit. Shares slip heading into the earnings report. So this is before earnings last night. So they did great. The company's still doing really well. They just didn't blow it away like everyone in Wall Street is expecting them to. So the stock didn't do much. But I will say that I think the market kind of breathed a sigh of relief that it didn't, crash either. So that might be the catalyst. That might be the reason that the market started moving higher today. And once the market digests this, which it looks like they pretty much did today, then everything might start to really move into the end of the year. So we might be heading into the end of year rally here shortly. Let's look at the small caps, IWM. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'll do it on this chart. So here's small caps. I'm going to go back to the 3-year chart. By the way, these buttons over here allow me to look at things in a different way. And one of the subscribers asked if I would show how to create these buttons. I'm going to do that tonight. So this is a 3-year chart here. So there's the Russell. It has just been chugging higher slowly up and down, but making higher highs and higher lows. And that's the definition of an uptrend. So if we do get that rally starting next Tuesday, this might be the last opportunity to get in. The other one to think about is TNA. TNA is a triple leveraged ETF. So if so you'll notice right now it's up 7.8%, and IWM was up 2.6. So it will go up about three times whatever the IWM goes up. So if you want to play the leverage side, just keep in mind it'll go down 3 times as much as well. And it's all of these are right at the 200-day moving average, which is a very good sign. This is a weekly chart too, by the way. So that's the 200-week moving average. So we'll go back here, and this is exactly what we typically like to see. So this, I think, would be a great opportunity to get in. We'll have to see what this does tomorrow. But understanding the historical context of what happens starting next Tuesday, this might be an opportunity for small caps and mid caps. IWM looks similar. So this is just the 1X for IWM. You notice that it's $235, where TNA is only 51 actually. I might actually add this to our list tomorrow. We'll see. If not, I might just buy it myself. So this one looks really, really interesting. The whole market right now looks real interesting. So we'll see what happens. All right. So let me real quick just jump over to what I always like to do is take a look at the VIX, see what that's doing. It started to tick up yesterday. All of these charts and everything that's on here is what you would get in the subscription. And one thing I do is this top 10 list. That's the list that I use to what I'll show you with the daily scan. And these are stocks that have made the top 10 in 3 different categories. And there's also the top 10 in large, mid, and small cap stocks. And then I put it all together and put a CSV file right here on the site if you want to download that and import it into your own platform and use it for whatever purposes you would like to use it for. This is a great list of stocks. And by the way, all of these things here have links on them. So, Palantir right there, you just click on it and see what Palantir looks like right now. All right, so let's look at the VIX. VIX is right here. And it kind of is staying right where it was from yesterday. It went down slightly, not much, a little more than 1%, but it's just below 17, which is what we want. We want that to be below 17. If the market continues higher tomorrow, I expect that the VIX is going to come down some more. And then if we really take off next week, this might just look similar to what it looks like over here from May to July before the market started to crash in July. This gray line back here is the S&P. So you can see where there was the downtrend starting in July. But before that, the market was going up and the VIX was below 17. And that's what typically happens. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see that VIX come back down below 17 and just stay there all the way until January. That would be a great place for the end of year rally. And then we'll look at the 10-minute chart right here just to see, and I'll show you what I meant. So here's the beginning of the day. Lots of choppiness, a lot of volatility beginning of the day. And then right here at about 11 o'clock, just before 11, these are 10-minute bars, by the way. Just before 11, the market started moving higher. It just continued higher all the way up until 2:30 or 3:30 rather. So 30 minutes before the close. And I think this was mostly profit taking from the day. I'm not too concerned about that right now, but you never know. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Technology did really well. Technology makes up almost 33% of the S&P. Financials did well for the week, but it's below Monday's close. Discretionary underperforming for the week. Communication services flat. Industrials flat for the week. And then if we look at the defensive sectors, same thing on the S&P. Healthcare pretty much flat. Staples pretty much flat. Energy's flat. Utilities actually started perking up, moving a little higher for the week. And materials, which is where gold is, moved up as well. So mostly technology, and technology is 33% of the S&P. So that's what moved the market higher. You can see last Monday's open was at 6,008, and we're still below it, but we're starting to move towards it. So we'll see. We've got one more day left for the week. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's take a look at the daily scan. And I actually added two. There's one that did not execute, and we'll look at those here in a second. So I have some scans that are run automatically, and this is done in stock charts. I explained how all this works back on the very first episode. So if you go all the way back to number one on my YouTube channel here, I explain exactly how all these things work. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. Interestingly, one that appeared on two of the scans was TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. So it's sitting right there at the 21 day. So this is one to watch too, because if it can get above that 21 day, then this one might be poised to take off. Of course, all the semiconductors need to move higher. So if the semis will move, then this one should do well as well. So that's on the basically the short-term signal, the 5 crossing the 21. It also appeared on the pullback to the 21-day moving average. That scan was the only stock on that scan. I have a new scan that I'll talk about in a second, and the one that hit this was Gilead. So this is the one stock that I was going to add to the list, but it did not hit my target. I have an order in for if it goes over 90 bucks. You can see that the high of the day was 89.94. Missed it by 6 cents. And that was right at the very end of the day. So this one might continue going higher tomorrow, but that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for stocks making higher highs and higher lows, but in an uptrend for a while. They had earnings on the 6th, which is right there. So gapped up and then pulled back to the 50-day moving average and now starting to head higher again. So that's exactly the kind of chart that we'd like to see. Right there, hitting the 50-day, moving higher. So we'll see. That might execute tomorrow. The other scans, so the downtrend reversal scan, actually were quite a few on that. I'm going to show you the whole list, and you can screenshot it if you want to do your own due diligence and take a look at some of these, but these all should be pretty good stocks. Some I've seen many times before. I'll tell you the two that I picked for today. Here's Kava, which is already on our list. Arista Networks, which has always been looking good. I can actually see the chart right there. American Semiconductors, it's been moving up. Here's Kava, moved a little higher today. This one here has been number one. It's been the number one of the top 10 week after week for quite a long time. And you can see what a great run it's had, and it's had a big pullback since then. So this one hit the scan today, and SoundHound hit the scan. Those are the two that I added. They actually executed today as well. So if you want to research the rest of these, here's ServiceNow is on here, moved up a little bit. So that was that scan. Let's see, the other scans didn't really produce too much. Actually, there was one, the 52-week high list. It's a bank. If you like banks, this one looks really good. So here's First Bancorp, right there at just below 47. This is exactly the kind of chart we like. Although the uptrend hasn't been real dramatic. It's really just gone sideways, but it broke out of the sideways movement right here, pulled back, and now it's moving up again. So earnings were on the 23rd, which is actually back here somewhere. So I'm not sure what that gap was about, but it's the election. It looks like the election right there. So it's starting to move higher again. So that one might be a good one if you like banks. And then there's one other that I want to show you because it's one of the stocks that we picked today. And this is an alert that I get occasionally. And I did not send an alert out today because I knew I was going to talk about it tonight. And there's only one stock. This is my short squeeze alert. So these are the stocks that have more than 20% of their float is short and are starting to move higher, moving higher on big volume, and might be potentially a short squeeze. So here's the one that hit today, SoundHound. It also ended up on the downtrend reversal list. So it was on both of those lists. So that's the reason I added it today. Now, this is a very risky one because there's lots of volatility. You can see the candles, anytime you get something with big wicks on both sides, it can go down, it can go up, trade with lots of volatility in the middle. So you have to be careful whenever you see something like that. But we'll put a stop in. The stop is going to be a little above this support level, right at the 21-day moving average. So 625, I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm showing you the reasons that I picked it. This is one that's been on the top 10 lists. It's a short squeeze candidate because a big part of its float is short. And I can actually look at how much is short. I actually like to see that. And I get this from Earnings Beats, Tom Bowley, who does a really great job in putting these kind of things together. He publishes a short squeeze list each week, actually updates it probably every week or so. But let's look at the whole list, and you'll see this is based on the percent short. So Riley, the stock right here, you can see the little chart down there. It's sitting at the bottom. So a lot of these are on the short squeeze list for a reason, because they're not really great stocks. Here's Beyond Meat. Had a great run before. Now it's way at the bottom. Here's Cassava. Just looks like it's starting to take off. That's 39% short. So this one's interesting for those that like to play the biotechs. So this one, shorts start to feel pain when it goes above the previous resistance level. So shorts were shorting right here. So the stock went down, which means they were making money. Then it went sideways. Still in the money, but not making money probably. But when it goes back up to this resistance level, shorts will start to feel pain, and that's when they will start to cover. And when they start to cover and combine that with people that want to buy as well, that's what creates a short squeeze. And this can move up very quickly when that happens. So let's go back and find, there's Plug. You can see some of the stocks in here. There's Hertz is in there. EV Go. Here's sound right there. It's got 23, almost 24% short right there. Here's NVAX, another one that was a big short squeeze. You can see it back there in March. That's what a short squeeze looks like. What happened in March. Show you the chart. Show you what a short squeeze looks like. Look at it on the 1 year. There's what a short squeeze looks like. So this one actually did hit the short squeeze list. I think it was probably right there. These are very risky, so I don't recommend people play these unless you're ready to move out very quickly. But it can be a huge gain if you get in at the right time. So it was down here at $4 and it went up to $24 in just about 3 weeks. So that's what a short squeeze looks like. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, But since that stock hit two of our lists, then that's a good sign. Let me close some of these things down. Just give me more space over here. Okay, Soundhound. Right there. If it gets above this high right here, which is at that's at about 780. If it gets above 8, so we got in at 7. If it gets above 8, that could ignite a short squeeze. And then it may run very quickly. But it could just as easily turn around and go back down. So these are very risky trades. I put it in to watch it and just to be able to show everyone what happens with these things. But here's the list. So one thing, hopefully you'll notice, because a lot of stocks moved up today, a lot of the stocks moved up too. So we'll just go down the list quickly. So there's DocuSign. So if the horizontal line is green, it means it's above our buy point. It means we're in the money. And now I'm putting the original stop in dash blue down here, so you see where we started. So this vertical line is the day that it was added to the list. This is the original stop. Now we've moved the stop up here. I'm just going to go through each of these, and then we'll go back to the whole list. Here's Intel, not doing too much, but hanging in there. Hasn't hit the stop. None of them hit the stop today. There's Oracle. Oracle looked really good earlier today, but it ended with a shooting star, which it may be a reversal candle. So that's one of the reasons I moved the stop up on Oracle. And I might, depending on what the market looks like in the morning, I might move it up a little more. But actually, what I'd like to see is for it to come down and then start going higher again. There's Viper Energy. This one's still red, but it's right at I think it's basically, I think so 54.60. I think we were at 52 something, 52 roughly. I mean, it's just pennies away from breaking even. I'll go back and look at it. VRT, it's green. We're in the money on that one. Here's our buy point. Here's the original stop. We moved the stop up. First, we moved it to here. Now we've moved it to the top of the resistance, and it's still moving higher. Here's the one that we just added. So added right there, you can see the candle. It's above the 21-day moving average. I would like to see the momentum indicator start to move higher. It's the histogram's ticking higher a little bit. I would like to see accumulation distribution move up a little bit too, and money flow is still down here. So all of these things need to move up for this actually to pan out for us. But you can see the stop is right there. So if it reverses, we'll just get stopped out. ADMA, we added 2 days ago. It moved up. It's still at a loss, but you can see it's moved up a little bit from the original stop. There's Kava. That one moved up slightly as well. These are pretty new ones. Coherent 2 days ago. So move this stop up. This one's getting pretty close to our buy point. The buy point was actually 102. No, 10, I think 106. I think 106. We'll look at it in a minute. And so that's it. So those are the ones that were added. That's everything on here. Gilead was not added because you can see it did not hit 90. So we're still waiting on that one. Sound hit the $7. The stop is at 630. It's actually at 625. So a little over 10% if it goes down there. And WGS, we got in at 74. It's actually pulled back now to about 72. So if it keeps going down like that, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But hopefully it'll go up. So let's look at Gilead. Oh, I haven't put the link in yet because we're not in it yet. So let's do it here. And you can see consistently making higher highs, higher lows. Really nice 45-degree angle on the uptrend. Had earnings on the 6th, which was right there. That gapped up, and then pulled back. And now it hit the 50-day moving average, and now it's moving up. And right where the 21-day is $90. It's actually $90.03. And that's where I want it to go before I get in. So it could hit that tomorrow. We might be in this one tomorrow. But that's the reason for adding that one. You can see the accumulation distribution looks pretty good. The money flow is above zero and the short term starting to move up. We'll look at this is what it looks like on the cloud. If we look at the 1 year, there's the 1 year beautiful uptrend right there, and then the pullback to the main moving average lines, and now it's starting to move higher. So hopefully that will continue. We'll see. So that's where we are. Last thing I want to do before I show you how to create those buttons is take a look at the Magnificent Seven. And if you remember, Google was one of the ones on our list. I'll just look at that first. So notice down here, here's Google. It was on our list on 11/6, and it got stopped out on 11/15. We did move the stop up from the original stop, and we got stopped out for a 2% loss. But let me show you what Google looks like. There it is right there. So we got in right here. It moved up. We got stopped out right there. It then turned around, but then today had a huge sell-off. And you can see the MACD up there crossed over. It's not below zero yet, but it's moving that way. The long-term MACD has given a sell signal, and the accumulation distribution actually is just steadily moving lower. You can see it down here too. This accumulation distribution it's underperforming its peers. Right here, it's below the zero line. So it's not only underperforming its peers, but it's now underperforming its own direction. So there's Google not looking good. But let's look at the other Magnificent Seven, because I kind of noticed a trend with these. And this is on the website. You need an annual subscription to access these. These are indexes, sectors, and Magnificent Seven. If you click on that, you can see the short-term, medium-term, and long-term signals, and when they triggered, and anything that triggered this week is highlighted. So you can see Apple got an short-term up. You can also see that Meta got a medium-term down today. So let's just go through and take a look at these. Let me use this one, the zoom in button, to give you a little closer view. There's Google. So I just showed you that one. But keep that in mind as we go through all the rest of them. Amazon. Now it's broken back down below support. Apple is just hanging in there. Apple started moving up, just hanging in there. Meta, also down below the moving average lines, both the 50 and the 21-day. Microsoft. Microsoft is trading in this symmetrical triangle, and whichever way it breaks out usually will be a pretty significant move. But you don't know which way it will go. Could be down and it could be up. We'll keep an eye on that, but that hasn't moved much. Nvidia, there's Nvidia. Didn't do much today. Just kind of stayed where it was. But it is above the previous highs back here, so that's good. It did not close at an all-time high today, but I think Nvidia might just start to steadily move higher again. There's Tesla. Tesla's been doing great. Netflix has been doing unbelievable. So way back here when it was consolidating, I drew this box. This is a Darvis box. For those that are interested in studying history, Darvis was a ballroom dancer in the 1950s, traveled the world with his sister, created a ballroom dancing show, and taught himself how to trade stocks. And he created what he calls the Darvis box, and that's what it looks like. So anytime it breaks out of the box, that's where he would buy. He would buy more. So Netflix looks fantastic, but it is unbelievably overextended. Doesn't mean it can't keep going higher, but it's not one that I would get in at that point. Here's AMD. AMD still continues to look bad. This is what a breakout of the symmetrical triangle looks like. It broke out to the downside, so it may continue. Probably is going to go back to the lows down here at 125. I would surmise. We'll see. SMCI just can't catch a break, starting to make a comeback, but who knows? That's one I'd stay away from. I might even take it off the list. Oracle's been doing really good. Oracle's on our list, by the way. So we got into Oracle back here. It went up, pulled back, just exactly what we want to see, and started to move higher. Our stop now is underneath this right here. So, but today it pulled back. It went up and then came all the way back to where it opened. So that is a shooting star, sometimes a reversing candle. Palantir looks really good, just sitting at the highs. Here's Arista Networks that I mentioned before. It had a big pullback, actually down into the cloud. It was actually, I thought, danger of really breaking down, but it's now starting to come back up again. So Broadcom, again, same thing, kind of the same thing with Arista Networks. It's in the cloud, which is usually neutral. Above the cloud is an uptrend and below is a downtrend. So right now it's pretty much neutral. And Eli Lilly just doesn't look good at all for Eli Lilly. All right, so that's where we are with the daily scan. I want to very quickly, because a subscriber asked, very quickly show you how to create those buttons. And in order to do that, of course, you need a subscription to stock charts. And if you go to the charts page on my website, actually, is it the charts page? It might be on the portfolios page. No, it's on the chart list and scans page. That's where it is. That's where we're going to spend the time next few minutes anyway. So chart list and scans page right here. These will show you all of the stock chart subscriptions that you can choose from. They often will do, they might have a Black Friday special too. Sometimes they'll offer 3 months for free if you buy a year. So you might keep an eye on that next week and see if they come out with something like that. If I see it, I'll send it out to everybody. But that's where you can find it right there on the chart list page. Also on this page are my favorite chart styles, and these are my buttons. So I updated all of these today. So these are the current buttons. I'm only going to show a couple of them, and just to show you how it works. So the first thing that you would want to do in stock charts is go over to the chart lists area and create a chart list. So a chart list, think of this as just a folder. It's a folder where you can keep different charts for different things. I've got tons of them. I really need to clean it up, but I've got some for ETFs. I've got some for sectors, for industry groups, all different ways of organizing all of your charts. So I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it My Buttons. All right, so now I've just created a blank folder, and I can now add symbols to it. I can do anything I want from here. What I'm going to do is, I call it My Buttons because I'm going to have just one folder just for all of those buttons, so I can always go back to it anytime that I want to. So if I go back here, I'm going to click on the first one. The first one is the default. So when I click on this, and this is what you would do to create these buttons, you would click on that. This would open up in your stock charts. You would then want to add it. So you go down to the bottom and you say Save Chart Style. All right. And that's how you create the button. But the first thing we want to do is we want to save as into that folder that we just created called My Buttons right here. All right, so I'm going to save this one. This is my default, and I'll just call it default right here. I just use Netflix for all of these, just as the example. All right, so that's the one that looks like My Buttons. So this is number one, the default. This is the default. So when I click on this, it looks the same. Nothing changed because that's my default. So what you want to do then is go down here to the bottom and say Save Chart Style. So in addition to all the buttons, this little blue box here not only shows you all the buttons that you've defined, including this one called default, and that is a naming convention for stock charts. They want to see it that way for your default. Exactly what that says. But you can also have other charts. You can have other ones that go beyond just those 12 buttons. So you can have lots of different ones down here. But I'm going to call this one default. So when I go down to the bottom and I say save chart style, it's going to save it into that list. Now I can update an existing one. Now I have one already called default. Or if you're doing it for the first time, you will say save as new, and you want to call it just what I showed you, 2 left arrows, default, 2 right arrows, and then click this that says set as default. So that will be the default from that point forward. Once you have it in there, you can then, and anytime you change what that chart looks like, and then you want to save it again, now you can see that it's already there. So now when I save this, it's just going to save it right to that name. So, and it's easy as that. So that's all you have to do. So if we go to the next one, Daily Cloud, this is my number 2 button. We go here. So there it is. If I click on my number 2 button, you'll notice that this doesn't change or shouldn't change. And it didn't, because that's my number 2 button. So now in this case, first thing you want to do is save as, save it to your My Buttons folder. So now you can have number 2, and you can call it, O2, just like that. So now when we go to the My Buttons folder, we'll look at the summary. You can see there are two of them in here. One's called default, one's called O2. Those are the same as the buttons that I just showed you. They're all Netflix. That's just the example that I use. So in that case, we've just saved that to our folder, but we also need to add it to the buttons over here. So to do that, I would then go down here to the bottom and say save chart style. And in this case, we say save as new. And now I want to give it a name. Now I would give it, whatever name I have on that page. You can use that. You can have your own names. I like to put the numbers so that I know which one it goes to. You would just put the name right in there, and it would save it to those chart styles, which would then appear in this list up here. So once it appears in the list up here, then it's going to be down here with the name, I call mine O2 Daily Cloud, but it'll be down here somewhere. So what you'll do is you'll click on this little banner symbol on the right-hand side. I'm going to click on it on this one. So you click on that little banner, and now you can tell it what position to put it in. So this one is number 2. Default always gets number 1. So I'm putting this in. It doesn't have to be, by the way. You could make default number 10 if you want to, but it really should be number 1. So this, I'm putting in position 2. I am calling it 2. So I can put that label. I can put anything I want in there, but I wanted to say number 2. So I put number 2. And then here's the chart style. Remember that I saved before? And then I just click Save Style button. And that's going to save that button right over here to my list. So if you were doing this for the first time, at this point, you would only have 2 buttons showing up over here. Number 1 and number 2, default and number 2. And then if you want to create the next one, which is my RSI 5, I'm going to actually talk about this once I show you how to do this button. All right, that's right here. It's a daily chart, RSI 5. So I'm using it as my number 3 button. I click on that. First thing I do is save as, save it to my buttons folder. So now I have 3 of them in there. And then I want to go over here and click this blue button. And no, before you do that, you want to get it in there. So you go down to the bottom and say save chart style. And now you give it a name. Give it 03-RSI 5 or whatever you want to name it. And then save the chart style. And then it will appear over here, but it won't have a number on it yet. So it will appear like these down here do, just with a blank banner. And you just then, once you have it, you click on the banner and you give it a position. As soon as you give it a position, then it will appear up here on your list. And then you add a label. You can only have 12 of them. So you're only going to get 12 positions. And you see it's already got the name in there for the chart style. So this now will be added as number 3. And you can change the color if you want. You can color code these so that you can kind of group them together based on color coding, etc. So that's the way you do it. You just go through and create all 12 of these. You can do your own if you want to. You don't have to follow mine, but I'm trying to make it easy, but just by giving you a lot of things on my website that help you if you have a stock charts membership. Here's some other chart styles that you can use. Here's a video that explains how to do it. There's some scans. Here's my daily scans. These are the scans I use. I'm going to add one more to it, which is the RSI 5 scan. So just as the final thing, let me show you what I mean. Let me show you what that RSI 5 looks like. So this is an idea that actually came out of originally, I've actually seen it a few places before. So you might see it too on the internet. There probably are some folks out there with pages of their own that have this scan. A lot of times it's called RSI 2 because it uses only a 2 indicator for the RSI. RSI is relative strength indicator. So RSI will tell you the relative strength of the chart as the symbol is moving. And I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use, which one? One of these was actually, yeah, RSI was Gilead, came up on my RSI 5 scan. So I'm going to use Gilead. All right, so what my scan is going to do is it's going to look for stocks that have gone below, down here, the bottom one, which is 70. Actually, it's 30. So on the left-hand side is the RSI indicator. So 70 is on the upper range, 30 is on the lower range. I actually wanted to come down to 25. So just give me a little bit of advance warning and know that it was really selling off. So as soon as it starts to move up from there, I get the scan. So what you can see is there's where it hit 25, right where that green line is. Follow it back here, just below 30. That's where it hit. And then the next one was right there. So it actually gave the signal right after it started moving up. And it had to go above the 5-day moving average, exponential moving average. So both of those things have to be true. So that's where it hit the scan. Now, what you'll notice with this is, and you can just look at charts to see if any of them are meeting this criteria. What you'll notice back here is when this goes down, it's an extreme. When it starts coming back up, sometimes you can get in right there. Let's look at one that has a little bit more movement. I think Oracle might be one. So Oracle right here. Oracle went down below, came up. So there's where the signal would have hit. And you'll notice that the MACD is starting, the histogram starting to move up right there. So a lot of times gives you a very early signal. And then using John Carter's technique, we'll count 8 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there. And we could actually wait a couple more, 9 and 10. And then you'll notice up here that the RSI 5 now went below the 70 line. Actually, 72 is the red line. So it actually started to move down right here. So that's where we would be in it for that period. This could be great for those who trade options. This would be a great way to get into an option early on and understand how long to hold it and then to get out again. So you can see up here, it kind of chopping around because it's just heading straight up. Let me look at a different one and see what we get. Palantir probably is like that too. Yeah, Palantir has just been moving up. Let's look at WGS, see what it's doing. So it actually hit the bottom down here, would have given a bullish scan right here, and then moved up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you could have just stayed in it until it went below. Or you could just stay in it all the way. So that's what the RSI 5 does. It takes some time to really understand it and get used to it, which is true of all indicators, by the way. You have to really kind of learn their personality, use it for a long time. Don't keep switching around to different things. Pick something that you like, that works for you, and stick with it. Really get to know it, because that's the best way how you're going to find good opportunities. All right, that's it for tonight. you can go back and review this video if you want to see how those buttons were created again, or send me a note if you have any questions on it. Thanks everyone for joining. And Nvidia didn't really do much today, kind of boring for the market, but keep an eye on next week. Next week is when the end of year rally should start, hopefully. Just before Thanksgiving usually is a bullish week. So we'll see if that's true. Thanks everyone, and good luck trading.